Greetings, Reelers. My name is Philip, and together with my wife Sherry and two of our friends, Chris and James, we're Fellowship of the Reel. 4 people who love talking about movies almost as much as we do watching them. We hope you will join us as we dig deep into cinematic masterpieces and some that are, well, maybe not. You have an opportunity to be the 5th host of our little show. Click the link in the show notes and leave us a voice message telling us what movie you would like us to review. You can also reach out on our Facebook page, Fellowship of the Reel. From all of us at Fellowship of the Reel, thanks for listening. Okay, on with the show.
Are you recording this?
Studying a movie in the mechanical level, I think can really bring some revelation.
I believe that no one sets out to make a bad movie, with the exception of...
On paper, this should work.
Yeah, this should work.
But I just don't like it.
That's your own fault if you haven't seen it.
Way over budget, start
yeah,
cutting
right, yeah,
scenes. Even the actors don't know what that movie is about. Shit, I wish I wrote that.
Which I love the title, but that movie's trash.
Well, it's oatmeal, man. It's good for you. Okay, here we are. Fellowship of the Reel. This was Sherry's pick, Tombstone. And I think on some level it was all our picks. This is...
Oh, it was one of those ones that had to be done.
Yeah, this is a... There are certain movies that I almost hesitate to review because of their epicness. Like, this is probably easily in my top 5 of all time. You know, so this is almost like a banner edition review because it's such a noteworthy and favorite movie of mine and a lot of people's or whatever. We will talk about, I got the box office and the Money Critics fans. The budget of this movie, sorry, I got away from the mic. The budget of this movie was $25 million and box office was $56,505,000. Now, I have it being released 100% domestically and no international release. That kind of surprised me that it was not ever released anywhere else but the U.S.
That's shocking to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it doubled its money, but only released domestically. I would have thought it would have made a lot of money more.
Yeah, I wonder how standard that is with, like, Westerns. You know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe Westerns just don't...
Because it's so uniquely American.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I also wonder, this was filmed at the same time as Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Wyatt Earp was released domestically only as
I
well.
don't know. Yeah.
It's a good question, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why they had such a hard time with costumes on both movies and set decorators.
Oh, is that right?
They
Yeah.
were just split. They were filming at the exact same
That's
time.
crazy. So it made its money back, doubled its money, being hampered a little bit maybe by the domestic-only release, but I don't know, like you said, how it would appeal worldwide, being such a uniquely American genre. The critics, this surprised me a little bit. The critics gave it, it's a 74% tomato reading on the critics, meaning 74% of the critics gave it 3 stars or above. But fans, almost universally, 94%, 3 stars and above. So fans absolutely, almost to each one, love this movie. Critics were decent with it. I made a joke when I was watching this that I think there is a cool line about every 12 seconds in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's one of the most quotable movies out there.
Yes. The only other movie that I probably would think would be more quotable or as quotable is probably Princess Bride and maybe Big Lebowski. But this movie, I'm not kidding. Like, I found myself, quoting it as it was going, and every minute or so, there's this amazingly cool, slick line.
Right.
That's how I took my notes was action scene happens and then the cool line.
Yeah.
Action scene happens and then the cool lines. And it's so awesome.
Oh,
All
absolutely.
of my notes are like that, actually. And not necessarily a cool line, but like I've noticed that like lines of dialogue, like a lot of my notes are
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
peppered with lines of dialogue, and because either the dialogue is leading to one of the beats, or it's just a cool line in general. But yeah, I found that
We could
a
almost
lot
do
of-
this podcast of just going around and quoting the lines until.
Oh my! No.
We'll just do a radio play of the movie.
You're right.
Well, I was gonna say, maybe as part of the critics and the fans, this might be one of those examples of it's a great movie, but may not work linearly in the story.
Yeah.
Like it's not. What were you saying before? Like it's not structured.
I struggled with the structure of this, but I was never bored. So
Right. This may be a good example of something that's not exactly 100%, but it's still
Right.
awesome and a fan favorite.
I think
'Cause I had trouble with some of my notes of like,
yeah, I think the
Right.
style
We'll get into that
carries
later.
the style. This movie is so stylish; it carries the day.
Mhm.
Every single there's not a weak actor in this movie as far as playing it to the hilt.
Okay. Well, y'all were talking about it as a movie, and of course, I love it, and I think about the history of it.
Yeah,
Because, and that was one thing I wanted to make sure that I was said is you can read about history, but movies like this actually bring that history. You know, you get that peek into history. You
Yeah.
almost travel back in time with it.
yeah. A lot of it is fairly accurate as far as
Well, and that's what I was going to add that, but it's not 100% correct
Right.
to
There are-
to the
right.
Earp story.
yeah.
And it also led us to, I know you've been to Tombstone 3 times,
Yeah,
and I've been twice of those those 3
Yeah.
times with you.
right.
And it is worth visiting in person. We also visited Wyatt Earp's grave
Yeah.
and what is her?
Col-
Jolene? No,
Josephine.
Josephine.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to call her Jolene.
Yeah.
They're buried side by side, right?
Right. Yeah. So Colton, California.
Right out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I look at is, yes, it's about history. It's not 100% correct, but a lot of it is.
Oh yeah. It's
yeah, those things roughly happened. Maybe not in the quick succession that maybe the movie shows, because the gunfight at the OK Corral was in October.
Yeah.
And then Virgil, I think, gets shot in maybe March.
Yeah,
something.
there's-
There was months and months. The movie makes it seem like it was
yeah.
within a week, and it
Right.
was not.
And also another interesting fact that I learned was the Birdcage Theater didn't open until after the shootout
Yeah.
at the OK Corral. So
Oh, interesting.
these guys were not, while they depict the true happenings inside the theater, people really did shoot because we saw the bullet holes in the theater.
That's crazy.
I wonder if it leaks when it rains. It must.
I
Yeah,
don't,
I
I,
don't
don't,
know.
I
I
assume
was
they
the owner of the birdcage. I'd be like, guys, quit it. Or
yeah.
you get up there with the
Yeah. It's
Or only do plays when it's raining. That way they'll, see,
maybe.
stop it. Yeah.
all right. Well,
And do you want me to tell the storyline?
yeah. We didn't do the synopsis last time or for Breakfast Club, but yeah. If you have the
Yeah.
tagline or whatever.
Well, I mean, because you were talking about Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner goes more detailed of Wyatt Earp's
The whole
whole
life.
life. But this focuses mainly on Tombstone, and this is what it says. After success cleaning up Dodge City, Wyatt Earp moves to Tombstone, Arizona, and wishes to get rich in obscurity. He meets his brothers there, as well as his old friend Doc Holliday. A band of outlaws that call themselves the Cowboys are causing problems in the region with various acts of random violence, and inevitably come into confrontation with Holiday and the Earps, which leads to the shootout at the OK Corral. And another thing I found, it talks about, they all moved to Tombstone. There were 2 more Earp brothers that actually lived in Tombstone at the time. However, they were not in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah, they were in the Wyatt Earp movie, I believe, but they weren't in Tombstone.
Yeah.
But they did move. They actually did move to Tombstone, Arizona. But they weren't depicted in the movie.
Because Wyatt Earp comes from a family of like 7 brothers and
Yeah. It
sisters,
was
something
big,
like
big
that.
family. He was. Yeah. This historically, this movie is kind to Wyatt Earp historically.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt Earp was, like I've read books, about the people who knew Wyatt Earp, Old West books, and he was stoic and almost people described him as a cold fish, very stoic and reserved and this kind of thing. Almost maybe a little more closer to what Costner portrayed him as.
Right.
I don't think he was near as emotional as Wyatt Earp gets in Tombstone in this movie, but I certainly enjoy the movie Wyatt Earp, but it's not as fun to watch as Tombstone. And Wyatt Earp had written a book with a writer during his lifetime called like Wyatt Earp Frontier Marshal or whatever. So Wyatt Earp was aware of his press and took full advantage. The book he wrote is also, as I understand it,
Self-serving.
self-serving,
Yeah, that's the thing. If you kind of look at it in the context of Wyatt Earp no longer wants to be a lawman, he wants to go to Tombstone to make his riches. And now 1910s, 1920s roll around. He can be a cult hero and an Americana thing. He was cashing in.
Yeah, right.
He was making his own mystique, making money.
Yeah, and historically, Wyatt Earp was much more in pursuit of lawman positions. He wanted to be Cochise County Sheriff because it was a highly lucrative position in real life. In the movie, you see him resisting, which we'll get into.
Well, I think there was a point when Wyatt Earp was a sheriff of somewhere, and he would get he'd get money for everybody he arrested.
Sure, yes, and as,
he would just arrest
as Cochise County Sheriff, you would get a portion of the taxes. I mean, there's all these. Yeah, absolutely.
The Wild West.
You're ruining Wyatt Earp for me. In my head, you know.
Well.
Not really. Vendetta Ride was real.
Yeah, right.
No,
not really. Just you know,
and Wyatt Earp went his whole life and was never shot once.
Yeah, he's a badass.
Anyway, so everything that you see Wyatt Earp doing, he did. He was not. That was not fake.
Right.
Anyway,
that's amazing.
Well, before we get into all that, I am interested to know your thoughts on what genre this is. Now, obviously, it's a Western. Okay, but based on the Blake Snyder's.
Yeah.
I was torn between two, and now as I thought more about it, I really am inclined to pick one over the other. What do you have?
Oh, I get to say mine before you tell me yours. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to see if you.
Here's why you're wrong.
Right.
I want to see your thoughts on this because I
went with Do with the Problem.
Well, that was my second choice.
Yeah. What's your first?
An innocent dragged into a problem without asking for it, or even now
he doesn't want to be a lawman the way they portray it, right? He refuses the call. He just wants to make some money with his family. Leave me alone.
And life or death. Yep, absolutely.
And then shit keeps happening until he can no longer resist.
Yes.
I mean, but I don't know that that's. What was the other one?
Superhero.
Oh, okay. Think about that. Okay.
Special power. Opposed by a nemesis of equal or greater force, and a curse that he either surmounts or succumbs to.
Oh, that's very interesting.
I read that, and I absolutely, I think that's.
Yeah, I think that one fits more. Yeah, that's interesting.
We'll get into it as we go, but when Wyatt Earp finally decides, he goes to get his special weapon, which is that long pistol. Well, that's historically accurate. That's the Buntline special. Ned Buntline was a gun maker. And he gave Wyatt Earp in Dodge City or Wichita, I can't remember which, when he left, he gave him this commemorative pistol. It was a peacemaker, but had like a long barrel. Mm-hmm. It has historically since been known as the Buntline Special. I don't think it was ever mass produced. He gave it to Wyatt Earp. And that's the gun that Wyatt Earp gets. He goes and gets his special weapon. I think obviously his special power is what everybody wants him to be, is to be this lawman or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think he is opposed by a nemesis of equal or greater force, certainly in Curly Bill, certainly in the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I think he feels like he is under a curse. Mm-hmm. Got a guilty conscience, might as well have the money now,
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So as I thought about the movie, I thought, well, superhero works. Dude with a problem certainly seems logical, and I think that probably is, but I think superhero, strangely enough, could be.
Not about the superhero aspect, but I think it applies as well.
Yeah. I think there is a lot of setup in this movie.
Right, there is.
Oh, I guess before we get into the beats, I guess
Sure.
I had a note about the writer and the director.
Oh yeah,
yeah. This is a Easter egg that I found out about a long time ago. But go ahead, yeah.
Right. So it was written by Kevin Jarre, I don't know how you say his last name,
Yeah.
and he was originally the director, but he got fired.
Yes, I heard that.
And they brought in this George P. Cosmatos, and I know a little bit, I guess, about this guy. This not that I've met him or anything, but I like to call him Comatose.
Yeah,
because he also directed with quotations.
Sure.
Cobra with Stallone and Rambo 2.
Yeah,
and then this one. He's got to be like just a name or a guy they throw out there. He didn't direct any of those fucking.
No, he did not.
Stallone directed his movies, and Kurt Russell directed.
Yes,
movie.
I was completely amazed to find out that Kurt Russell directed this movie. I would give the shots to Cosmatos every day.
I saw
Comatose because he's comatose.
Yeah.
I saw the Cosmatos. I guess it was Wikipedia on the movies that he had done. Everyone but Tombstone and Rambo all had like 10 and 20% approval ratings, and then these two little gems spark out. So it's like Yeah, he was just the guy sitting in the director's chair drinking coffee all day.
Right.
He wasn't doing crap.
Wasn't doing shit.
But
allegedly.
Why did it end up?
The studios, I think the studios were not comfortable with Russell directing. Like,
I guess, yes, which is weird. But yeah, and I know the original guy, he was behind schedule. He couldn't,
is that right?
couldn't get the shots in and all that
It
stuff.
shows here on IMDb that the guy that wrote it, the Kevin Jarre, he did the Charlton Heston scenes only. So I guess on Hooker Ranch.
Yeah.
I guess.
And he was actually a friend of Michael Bean's.
Okay. All right.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
They
but Kurt Russell's been in movies his whole life. I mean,
Sure.
since he was young.
Yeah.
So they had no. That's
Yeah, and I remember having the Laserdisc version of this movie where the extra features were Cosmatos. It was the director's cut or whatever, and
Pronounced
Cosmatos.
comatose, Phil.
Yeah, telling about, like, he was one of the extra features talking about the directing of the movie and all this kind of, which I guess it wasn't known at that time that, or they were just.
Did the truth not come out till he died? Was that what it was?
Oh, I don't know. Did he? He's dead
Yeah,
now?
it seems like.
I don't know. We can look real
I just
quick.
know I've watched extras on Rambo and like talking about where Stallone was in the editing and all this stuff. And it's like,
2005.
it
It
huh?
seems
He
like
died in 2005.
it seems like someone had said that
Yeah,
it wasn't revealed until
after he died.
after
yeah.
he died.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, it's just weird how he's like this placeholder guy that comes in for people. Because like Stallone had directed stuff before. He directed several of the Rockies.
Yeah.
Now, granted, none of those have explosions and like action scenes. So
Yeah, it's
maybe
very
that's
weird.
why they had him on Rambo 2, you know? And then once, Stallone proved his chops, Kurt Russell proved his chops, and then they're able to go on and
Yeah,
do whatever they need to do. But it's kind of weird.
it's funny.
Yeah, I didn't know until, I guess, a few years ago when you were talking about it, Phil. Kurt Russell apparently has a lot of this movie in his garage. That'll
Yes,
never see the light
that's
of
what
day.
blew my mind. Like, there is footage in Kurt Russell's garage that he keeps talking about releasing, but I guess has never.
Dang.
Now, I've seen some deleted scenes, like in extra features and stuff, but apparently there is a whole sub-story. There is some indication that Wyatt Earp worked closely with Ike Clanton as an undercover agent. Like, Ike Clanton agreed to sort of tell
That's why-
Wyatt of crimes and stuff.
Interesting. So that's why he keeps sparing him in the movie, I guess.
Sure, and that Ike was nervous that Wyatt was going to let it
Let
be
that out.
known that he was working with the law and his cowboy friends would get him and this kind of thing. That their
interesting.
relationship was much more nuanced than what you see. And I think some of that footage is what maybe
On the
is
in
this.
his
And,
garage.
yeah.
Yeah, and Kurt Russell's earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah. But I think
feel
it would
like
do nothing but slow the movie down into a,
For sure.
it would, but I wouldn't mind seeing that
Sure.
version. Like, stop making Santa
another
Claus Chronicles on Netflix and go break the shit out of your garage,
Yeah,
sir.
I
Again, he's earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants. But
well,
You know,
they've
I
given
would
us
rather
four versions of
stand it.
Blade
I would
Runner.
rather see this than do it.
They've given us the box set of 4 versions of Blade Runner. Let's have a
Right.
box set of the 4-hour Tombstone and
Yes,
the
exactly.
Yeah, but
2-hour Tombstone. And
Kurt Russell is not Ridley Scott. Or was it Ridley Scott that did Blade Runner?
No, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Kurt
yes.
Russell, I think from him, he's just like, it's done, it's out there,
yeah,
let's move on.
I think I would not want anybody to touch Tombstone now.
Funny, that's so weird. Like, you said Blade Runner, and I put Apocalypse Now in my head because that movie also has like 4 different versions.
Is it- oh, is it-
But yeah, you said Blade Runner, but for some reason I was thinking Apocalypse Now. That way, when you said Ridley Scott, I almost said, no, what are you talking? No, yeah, right. Right for Coppola. But yes, give me 4 versions of Tombstone and no more Santa Claus Chronicles, please.
There's a little fact that I love. Stephen Lang, the guy that plays Ike Clanton.
yeah, I love him.
Apparently, the rumor is he was drunk on set all day, every day.
Well,
I don't know
And
that I
it's-
believe that because his performance is so awesome.
It's so awesome.
he does
but
look like he's.
He looks like his eyes are glassed over and a
All the
little
time,
red,
yeah.
and he
Was in real life? He probably was drunk all the time.
What about-
Ike Clanton? I mean, not.
there wasn't very much fresh water to drink. Obviously, Ike was dunking his head in the water barrels.
Yeah.
So
What's,
maybe it was all just alcohol.
It blows my mind. Is what I thought you were going to say is he's actually the bad guy in Avatar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he looks, of course, he put on more muscle and stuff for Avatar, but he looks like he's 6'5" and this huge muscle guy in Avatar. And he always seemed short to me in the short Weasley sniveling Ike Clanton. But and knowing that when I went back and watched it this time, I would pay attention to shots when he's in there with like Sam Elliott, who's really, really tall.
Real tall.
And he's right there with him. He
Yeah.
just he's not short, you know. I mean,
Right.
the guy's tall himself. He just the way he played the character, he seems like this short, sniveling.
I know
piece of
that-
shit. You know, it's crazy.
I know we're going to get into it with the beats and everything, but there's actually a note in here. Is Ike Clanton the big bad? That's my question to you. He is
Yeah.
the
He's
last one they defeat.
He's not the leader, but he's
No, he is, yeah, because they're riding, and he's one that takes off
Uh-huh.
takes it off. But I
And
feel
that's
like
the last bad guy that they beat.
yeah, but he can't be bigger bad than Ringo.
I
or
know.
Curly Bill, man.
That's
well,
that's one of the things that don't make sense to me. It's like they beat Curly.
he
I feel like that
starts
was
a
like
lot of
cleanup, you know.
he starts a
Yeah,
lot of the
so
problem.
I think he's the main.
Even in real life, he was the
antagonist.
instigator.
Yeah.
in this kind of thing.
So that's my question to you: is
Hopefully, we'll get.
Oh,
to
don't
it.
go around here. Yeah, I heard you the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, okay. So I guess we need to get into this.
sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Comatose Man because it's very interesting.
No, I was blown away several years ago when I learned that. I think there's a lot of setup, and there's a lot of people to set up, right? So you have the official setup, which is this opening monologue that essentially introduces Doc, Wyatt, the Cowboys, and the setting in a short sort of clip.
Yeah, in the order, it's the prologue is the backstory of Wyatt Earp, the background of Tombstone being the murder rate is higher than modern today, and then it tells about the Cowboys.
Yeah. So it's a quick way to get us into the story and the situation.
Catch us up.
Yeah, Lath watched it with us for the first time, and he was a little confused about the Cowboys thing.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, "Aren't they all Cowboys?" Well, yeah, you're not wrong, son.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this is what they call themselves. So like I had to try to explain it
It's
as
a
best I
gang
could.
called
They're
the
wearing the red sashes. Just
Yeah.
remember that.
you had
The bad
Cowboys,
guys
and then you had the miners, because even Wyatt Earp, they show him having the mines, but the Earps did run mines
yeah.
at a Tombstone, and gamblers. So there was these different groups. Cowboys, essentially, strictly speaking, made their living off cattle and ranching. You know.
Right.
Anyway, so you have a quick setup, I think, in this opening monologue, and then you have like 4 opening images of the Cowboys, the Earps, Doc, and then Tombstone, the town itself, are each given their own
Sure.
opening image.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because the first image that we have that's not the background is the Cowboys riding across the wilderness
Yes.
for vengeance. You don't even see their face until after they've loaded their guns.
Right, yeah.
Or that slow walk up.
Yes. He says their opening image, you know, I say they have an OK Corral shootout of their own. And at the end, looks like we win, you know. So if this is their opening image, we know their closing image, which is decimation. So I think those two bookend each other. The Earps, I have as their opening image arriving in town, and I say for the same purpose as the Cowboys arrive in the town that they did. The Earps, the Cowboys are marauding for profit and for treasure, basically.
Yeah.
They steal, they rob, they maraud, and the Earps are there to make our fortune, boys. You know, but they're going to do it in a different way.
Well, even back to the Cowboys in the opening image, even with the preacher or whatever, and then the Spanish that Ringo has to translate.
Yeah.
It predicts their own demise. You know,
Yes. It is interesting that.
the old man on a pale horse and all.
Yes,
you know.
and then we see
that
the
on
arrival
the
of Earp right after that, and the horse. Yes, so there is this slight nod.
Yeah, he's all
The
in black
sides
and then
that
the
they're
white.
on, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, because the priest literally condemns them, you know, and then the guy said, "You go to hell,
Yeah,
you first."
right.
Right.
They know they're on the
Yeah,
path
yeah,
to
yeah.
hell.
That's not what he said. You ignorant wretch. Your English is worse than or your Spanish is worse than your English.
Yeah, so I think some lines are drawn because you got the Pale Rider prophecy, meaning that Wyatt Earp will be God's instrument of justice against the evil, which are the Cowboys.
Yep.
Later on, you have the birdcage scene with Ringo saying, "I already did it. I already made my deal with the devil." Right after that,
Yeah.
Wyatt, do you believe in God? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
I
so
don't
so Wyatt, this is as close as you're going to get. But Wyatt is not a great thinker. Okay, but I think those two scenes are there to sort of say in this movie, Wyatt Earp is the good guys and the Cowboys are the bad guys.
Yeah, if you think about it, the first scene you see in the Cowboys is they're massacring a wedding. First thing you see of Wyatt Earp is him protecting a horse.
Yes.
Hurts, don't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and family. They make that
And
family portrait.
Immediately after that happens, the marshals coming to him, offering him a job.
Yes. Now, that's a good point. That's the first. So this is the first bump. Okay, so Wyatt Earp is being given catalyst, being given calls to adventure.
Yeah. A lot of times we'll call it from Snyder the devil bump, but yeah, he got like a.
You got 5.
Yeah, he got a quadruple bump. Yeah,
There are
he got
5 bumps.
5 bumps
in this movie. The first one, I don't know if it's the territorial sheriff. Somebody, I can't remember.
United States Marshal
Yes,
date.
the first bump, call to be a lawman. Guilty. The whole conversation with the guilty conscience. He is refusing.
Yeah, already got it. Might as well have the money too.
Right.
Yeah.
Bump number 1.
And then you got Virgil, Morgan, Allie, Louisa, and Maddie all showing up together. They're finally a family in Tombstone. They're about to make their fortune.
Yes.
So I narrowed my opening image for Wyatt specifically down a little bit more.
Yeah.
You see him step off the train alone.
Yeah.
Now that everyone else is there and they show up very quickly, but that first shot he's alone.
Yeah.
And then the closing images and I wouldn't say unhappy, but he's very serious and he's definitely not smiling.
Yeah.
At the end, he's
Oh yeah, dancing.
dancing and smiling with Josephine, not alone.
Yeah.
You know?
He's laughing like an idiot all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
I know you had some historical things if we get to a point where you have some historical notes,
shut up and jump in.
jump in.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you referring to anything?
No. I just didn't want to. You said you had some historical. I didn't want to skip over or make sure we didn't just.
No.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
So they, when everybody arrives, like you said, he's alone, but they do the family portrait in front of the mirror, and then it's revealed that Maddie has a laudanum.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Addiction.
This is. I don't know if Sherry wrote this down, but they never officially got married. Historically, she was a common law wife, meaning they stayed together long enough to be considered married.
Right.
But he was never officially married
And Doc brings that up later
to.
in the bar.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a married man?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I really like the image, like this image, the reflection of this perfect family and his goals and what he wants that never happens.
Right.
Well,
Well,
like you're saying, it immediately reveals this is not the picture perfect family
Right.
you think it is. You know what I
Right,
mean? Or
exactly.
could be.
Right.
So it's really cool.
And they have a conversation about Doc. Is Doc back in town or whatever? And
Yeah.
then it immediately goes to
Yes.
Doc playing poker.
Yeah. So the opening image for the Cowboys is marauding. The
Rocky's brother.
Earps are going to maraud in their own way, but certainly more family oriented. And then Doc, who is marauding in his own way. Poker is an honest trade. I said poker was an honest trade, not. So he's
Not gambling.
not gambling, but he's almost a mixture of the two because he's gambling and he winds up killing Ed Bailey. And then as he's walking out, he just picks up money that he didn't win, puts it in his pocket. Well, good day then. And
Did he kill Ed Bailey or did he just stab him?
in real life, he stabbed him and basically
died.
spilled his guts all over the floor. Yeah.
In the middle 1800s, if you get stabbed, it's not looking good, I guess.
Yeah. No, they cleaned that murder up, but Ed Bailey was gutted. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a $500 pot on that game before the
Yes. And then
unpleasantness.
So Doc straddles both worlds because he's friends with the Earps, but he is not above killing and stealing, and that's why he calls it hypocrisy when he won't shake hands with the sheriff, and so he is very much in both worlds, sort of the bridge between the two.
Yeah.
Takes money he did not win.
Yeah, like when he, hey, Sheriff, have you met Doc Holliday? Piss on you, Wyatt.
Yeah. And then we're given the opening image of Tombstone, which Doc describes as very cosmopolitan, and Morg describes as by saying, "Damn, this burg is jumping." So Tombstone is very much its own character.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think.
Yeah, the Wyatt family enters Tombstone. You get to meet Sheriff Behan. He's a man of many parts.
Yeah.
And then Fred White, and they talk about the Cowboys.
Yes.
Okay,
that's when
one thing I did read, you were talking about historically or, accuracy in the movie.
Yeah.
Boot Hill
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
is,
Cemetery, right?
yeah, but it's not as close as it makes it in the film. And
Oh, yeah.
I remember it being up on a hill.
Yeah.
And it's really
outside of town. Like if
Yeah.
you go to Tombstone,
and it's really spooky.
yeah, and
to visit.
I mean, and the Clantons' graves are still there and everything. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty
But
neat.
you can visit, yeah.
And the Lester Moore.
Yeah, I think I
grave.
think that actually is.
That's really
He
there.
was shotgun on a Wells Fargo carriage, and he was shot.
Yeah, but I think there's. if I remember correctly, that's an actual
It's
Tombstone.
an
in
actual thing.
Shot with a 44,
Yeah.
no more, no less. Yeah.
No less, no more. Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, Fred White introduces the Wyatts or discusses the Wyatts about the Cowboys.
Yeah, we're given more setup. And
Yeah, more setup.
Wyatt receives a second bump, second call in the Birdcage Theater. Mayor Clum comes up and immediately shuts him down. hey, Wyatt, I'm not a prayer. And good day to you, sir.
You're skipping a little bit.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton,
You're
right?
skipping
Yeah, no,
that
there's-
saloon.
Well, yes. This is the danger here, man, because
That's why I wrote.
I
this
didn't know how
down.
much you wanted to.
That's exactly why I wrote this down to keep us on track, sir.
Yes.
I have a question
There's
about.
a cool line every 12 seconds, and I'm telling you, every scene is amazing. And
You just can't wait to get there.
you're gonna Breakfast Club this thing, man.
No, that's why I wrote it down.
It's Billy Bob Thornton's first movie. It's the first one I remember seeing him in.
Jackets was before this, right?
Let's check.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. I thought 86.
Oh,
maybe?
okay. Because I didn't remember seeing him. Of course, he looks a lot different then.
Kind of chubby in this.
Never mind. Full Metal Jackets. That's the wrong guy. Sorry. That's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, that's way wrong. No, but they Marshall White's talking about the Oriental. All the other casinos
Yes.
and places are jumping, and the Oriental is not. So Wyatt Earp
Gets
walks
20.
in.
Yeah, gets us a
Right.
25% of a Pharaoh game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because even Virgil, I think it is, or Morgan. Morgan goes, oh, there he goes.
There he goes. Yeah.
goes.
Yes. And in real life, Wyatt did deal Pharaoh as an occupation.
Yeah, he has the words with so Milt Joyce, owner operator. That's the guy who lets him know about
Yes.
the guy at the corner. He's running the good play out. Yada yada yada.
Yeah. The
Like
scene is
playing-
amazing.
Like playing cards with my brother's kids or
Yeah,
something.
I'll blow you up that Wildcat's ass.
Out you go, Drew. That's what I'm saying. Just I know you know every line, and it's an absolutely cool scene, man.
Still haven't gotten to my favorite yet.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Billy Bob was in a lot of stuff before Tombstone.
Or, yeah.
A lot of stuff. He was in Matlock.
What is he?
Just to clarify, he was not in Full Metal Jackets. I was way off.
Correct.
No, that's
Don't know why.
So yeah,
yes. Wyatt is.
you're sitting in my chair. 25% of the house take sound about
Yeah.
right. Yada yada. Yeah, all that stuff.
I mean, yeah, the do something about it or stand there and bleed.
Yeah.
Very, very cool line.
You run your mouth kind of runs for a minute. Don't go heel. Don't need to get the gun. Don't need to go heel to get the bulge out of a tub like you. Is that a fact? Yeah, that's a fact. It's just like you can go. I don't know if 8 hours on this disc would be enough the recording time. That's what I'm saying. It's just-
Okay, I'm just. This is just a quick question.
Yeah.
That game that he dealt.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with that game at all, but was that more popular than poker? Because I know Doc
Well,
Holliday loves.
It's easier than poker. Pharaoh, as I understand it, is like roulette with cards, right? So there'd be several cards imprinted on the table, and you put your money down on the card, the face card or whatever that's represented on that table. You put the money down on that one that you think is going to be the next card drawn out of the deck. So it's almost like roulette, where you're
Right.
betting on red, black,
Okay.
17. And so when Curly Bill puts his money down on a card to place his bet, I'm not saying the games are crooked, but the dealer, it is bucking the tiger. It's all on the house. Wyatt Earp, you see him, it's very subtle, but Wyatt Earp moves
I saw him. do
Curly
that.
Bill's money from one
Yeah.
card to another. Because Wyatt Earp, I think, Pharaoh dealers, not cheating, but it's a fool's
Does he
game.
win? So he moved it so he did win.
So he won.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
never
I
caught
didn't
that.
catch that. I remember
saw
him winning.
move it.
Yes.
and that's why I didn't understand
I didn't
how.
realize he moved it.
I'm like,
Shut
did he
up,
put it in
Ike.
the wrong place?
shut up,
Okay.
Ike.
Shut up, Ike. Yeah.
Right.
No,
So
that's my favorite.
it is a stupid game
Yeah.
because there are cards and you're betting on what the next card, and so it's essentially it's roulette, as I understand it.
Okay, thank you.
And so he moves that money over so that he doesn't have a problem with these people and they can just get on their way because he doesn't want any part of any trouble.
Exactly. He wants to avoid it.
Yes. And so he moves that money over and Curly Bill wins.
But it's kind of weird that he walked up and talked to Johnny Tyler like, "You're in my seat. Get out of my seat. This is my thing."
Yeah.
And he just bum rushed the whole thing. Now he's a big bully, and I think everybody else in Tombstone's a big bully too. That's
Sure.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But it just makes sense of I'm going to take the easiest game, Pharaoh,
Yes.
kick this guy off of it, and I'm here now.
Right. Well, Johnny Teller had run off all the high class
Yeah.
play, and Wyatt Earp saw this as well. I get in
Right,
here.
but he doesn't have to be like a dealer, like a serious, like
Yeah.
blackjack or poker or whatever. Yeah, it just I didn't think about it until James said it. But yeah,
He's like,
the easiest thing. I'm gonna make a shit ton of money, get this piece of shit out of here, and I'm gonna sit right here and make a ton of money.
Sure. No, he was there to make a fortune. Now,
That's
that
good.
being said, Wyatt Earp, when he talks about I only ever killed one guy, that's true.
Yeah.
In Wichita or Kansas, there was an altercation and the guy had done something and he was, and there was a shootout and Wyatt Earp killed, and it was one guy. Wyatt Earp would hit people over the head with a pistol to knock them out. He does this in Tombstone. Wyatt Earp was a bully because it was a tool. He thought, Wyatt Earp has said, if you can intimidate someone and get them to back down, you don't have to kill them or shoot them.
Right. Yeah. So they showed that a lot. Yeah.
So he was total intimidation and didn't have to kill people. So yes, it was a tool he used even historically.
Right. No, and what you were talking about the Johnny Tyler thing. Even the way they set up Doc too, like outside of the poker scene,
which happens right next.
Yeah, Johnny Tyler goes and he's obviously embarrassed, pissed off, whatever. So he went home, got his gun, and he was going to shoot, come up and shoot Wyatt Earp or whatever. And Doc sees him, and Johnny Tyler, where are you going with that shotgun? Just his reaction. Oh, Doc, I didn't know you were in town. Like he's immediately scared to death of Doc.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
And then Wyatt and Doc meet for the first time in years,
right? And have a little bullshit converation where this guy with a shotgun who's going to kill him is standing over there.
Go away now.
Yeah, he has one of the best lines. Oh, Johnny, I forgot you were there. You may go now.
Absolutely.
My favorite is he says when Wyatt tells him to put the gun in, he's like, "Thank you."
Yeah. Thank you for not killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had no idea that was Wyatt Earp too, right? Yeah.
Right.
No
Yeah,
idea.
he learned at that moment it was Wyatt Earp. Yeah.
Yes.
And then that's when Sheriff Behan and Doc meet.
Piss on you, Wyatt.
Yes.
Have you met Sheriff Behan?
And in yes, absolutely.
Very cosmopolitan, that whole area.
Yes, this is Tombstone's introduction. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Get to meet Creek Johnson and Jack Vermillion.
Yes. Real historical figures as well. I don't know as much about them, but
But for movie purposes, I mean, they pretty much just set them up because they're part of their Vendetta Ride
Yes,
down the road,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Well, the thing I think coming up right here on this next line I'm showing is we got to take in front of Judge Spicer. Law and order every time. That's us.
Yeah.
And that obviously is not Tombstone.
Yeah, it's right. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Right. Well, yes. The laws were very loose at that point, but yes, the self-defense, anyway. Yes.
Right.
So yeah, I have the, again, the movie is so, I have this, I'll just get this out of the way and then we can talk about whatever, the bumps, the various bumps. Okay. And then we'll get back to whatever notes you have just for structure purpose. Second bump is in the birdcage, Mericlum, not a prayer. The third bump, when Curly Bill does his thing and kills Sheriff White, Wyatt Earp goes out there and Ike Clanton wants to do his stuff. But
Well, I feel like there was one before that even because we were just talking a minute ago when he's sitting down at the shut up Ike, right?
Yeah.
He goes, law don't go around here or whatever, and he says, I'm retired.
yes,
And then Johnny turns to Doc and says, "You retired too?"
Yes.
Like I feel like that's a bump too, right? I mean, because it's the bad guys directly coming to him saying,
Sure, okay,
"Are you going to
yeah,
do anything about our shit? Because we run this town.
okay,
You're going to be
yeah,
an
all right, then
obstacle
there's
to
6
us."
bumps.
I have that.
Jesus.
I have that notated as tense moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says, "Not before I turn your head into a canoe." Understand? And then later,
Again, the intimidation. He could have just shot him.
yes. And later when they're playing pool and they're talking about Judge Spicer, he says, "It's none of my business anyway," as he's counting his money. Right.
We're all busy.
So third,
He
slash-
only intervened because that guy got shot and killed
Yes,
or whatever.
yes.
Yeah.
Fourth bump, Virgil becomes town sheriff. Wyatt is still refusing. This is trouble we don't need. Didn't even make a dent, did I? Trying to convince them this is not something you want to do. So that's either the fourth or fifth based on what you're saying. Fifth bump, the arrest of Ike Clanton. And Ike Clanton says, "You got a fight coming today." This is at 1 hour and 8 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
When the Cowboys start showing up, Wyatt answers the call by saying, "All the same, I guess you better swear me in." So 5/6 bumps into 1 hour and 8 minutes. Wyatt is still debating and refusing the call. This is what I'm talking about with, I think the setup is super long before we get what I'm calling the break into 2.
Yeah, no, I think it. I was a little disappointed that Lath didn't like the movie as much as everybody else on the planet.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, it's all right." But as we're watching it, I remember him saying something about when's the other shoe going to drop. So I think not that he knows a whole lot about story structure, but I think he was frustrated and maybe a little, dare I say, bored with he was waiting for something to happen because once this stuff's, because I agree with you, it's way late. Like there's a lot of setup in this movie, and I didn't remember that. I remember a lot of cool shit happening.
No,
in the movie,
it's
and,
all cool. We could sit here. I mean, we're at 40 minutes right now, people. I hate to tell you. I know.
Holy crap.
So so that's up to
Talk
the
about a lot of
first
setup.
break. So anything up to the point of Wyatt accepting, it's free for all now.
So there was a cool thing that I've actually paused the movie. It was during the theater troupe. Professor Gilman catches stuff.
Yep.
That's what I have. And then I paused it and read what the chalkboard said.
Yeah.
Selections from the Bard, Mr. Romulus Fabian, Tragedian and Excelsius, the St. Crispus Day speech for Henry V.
Yeah.
All that on that little chalkboard that they remove in 2 seconds. I had to
Yeah,
pause
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm like, so his name.
Nobody ever read that. I never read it.
Yeah,
Right.
it just blows my mind. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
That's
the
a nerd thing.
Absolute set decorators are unheralded heroes.
And then Billy explains what's going on. In that scene, Ringo is eyeing Wyatt.
Yeah.
Ringo and Doc is drinking.
Yes. Yep.
And it's just, life is normal, but
Someone in the theater?
in the theater,
Yeah.
it's
This
like
is
the Cowboys are looking like the Wyatts are in town. We got to shut that down. And that the next scene is.
yeah. You can see that the it's all simmering below the surface.
Yes.
Right.
And that's when when they leave the theater, Morgan talks about death for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. After, and I think it's contrasted with I already made my deal with the devil. I think.
Yeah,
that's
right. What
slides
would
are
you
being
do,
brought up.
Johnny? You already did it.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know anything about structure, again, but that's where I have the second act starting. Is when everybody is finally in Tombstone and they're in the bar after the play. When Josephine walks in and everything. I think that's where the story starts and takes off. But again, I don't know.
Well, I think that's true, but the hero has to accept the call and cross over that threshold. And at that point, I still don't think Wyatt has. Because
when he rushes out there and arrests Curly Bill, that's him acting, right? I guess that's where I had my break in it too. But now he's still wishy-washy and all pissed off and doesn't want to get involved.
Right. No, this is who he is.
Yeah.
But he's resisting it. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is his nature. This is his identity. Wyatt Earp, throughout his whole life, was a lot of things, but he was always a lawman. And it's the only thing he does really well and is good at it. And people look to him, but he's resisting. So he will fall into, but later on he will say at the OK Corral gunfight or whatever, as they're walking down, I still don't know how we got ourselves into
they're
this.
walking to the OK Corral, and that's what he says.
Yeah.
How do we get ourselves into this?
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, that's so Josephine Marcus enters. Curly Bill has an issue with Wyatt. Doc has his tense moment with Ringo.
Yeah, that's Latin scene.
Darling. It appears Mr. Ringo's an educator.
Oh my God.
Now I really hate
Every 12 seconds, a cool line.
Oh, that is my favorite scene.
It's so stylish. And this whole movie is so stylish and cool.
Yeah. Even Doc's response, you're like, for the first time you see her, like, oh shit, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
And then,
absolute
genius,
We're not
You're talking about actors playing stuff. I love Bill Paxton's reaction in that scene.
Yeah.
For several reasons. When Ringo's going off and doing all, he almost seems bewildered.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no way I could do that.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
then him
Mesmerized.
laughing when Doc does it.
Yeah.
With the fucking cup or whatever, which
Yeah.
is really, really cool.
Yes.
And I love how because Ringo's eyes Michael Bean's eyes get really, really crazy
Yeah.
a little bit when he's doing it and getting all
Yeah,
excited. And even Doc makes fun of him doing that.
Oh yeah.
Does
No.
with his
No.
funny eyes, like it's
Doc is
it's amazing.
he is the trickster almost because
Yeah.
he is giving you the idea that he's not. Okay. Well, Ringo is obviously fast. Doc doesn't care, but Doc is faster, and we learn toward the end, like he's,
Right.
Right.
But he holds it in close,
Holds it
like
in,
a
yeah.
poker player. He's holding those cards close to his
yeah.
vest.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the first time that Wyatt asks about that other idiot, Ike Clanton.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
Who was that other idiot?
yeah. Just
And then as soon as that conversation ends, Josephine asks Behan about Wyatt.
yes. Yeah. There is this. So yes, that is true. There's this call to the outward call, which is him being a lawman, but right along with this is the call to the romantic adventure that he also resists. Wyatt, you're an oak, but then he rides with her in the forest again.
I'm an oak, all right.
He's getting close. Yeah, I'm an oak. Yeah, but he's getting closer.
Right.
Still debating. He goes back to his wife and says, "Why don't we go around the world on
Room service, and she laughs at him
She
like,
laughs
"Are you
at him.
nuts?"
She's
And then you
upgraded.
see him debating. So I think he answers or is pulled more strongly by the romantic call to adventure before
Right.
he is pulled into the outward call.
His real life, the success, the money, the mines, all that isn't what he's getting it, but it's not what he wants his
He's
life
not
to
happy.
be.
Yes. Now,
Maddie has upgraded from laudanum to now opium.
oh, yeah.
I
Right.
made
I
sure to note
missed that, but yeah,
Right.
she's totally down the road.
Yeah, she
Now,
is out.
The theme I couldn't nail down, but
She got up from Curly Bill. He's like, oh no, this is what you want right here.
Right.
Josephine asked Wyatt, "Are you happy?" I think I'm happy, kids.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
Wyatt, we're going to make our fortune, boys. So Wyatt sets out as a stated goal to make his fortune, to be happy, to have an ordinary life, which you'll call later. But he still has no idea what he really wants.
Right.
He thinks he knows, but he doesn't. At the end of the movie, his arc, I finally found out what I want and who I want, and that's the damnable misery of it. So I think I think the theme is finding out what you really want in life, and I think Josephine is that B story.
No, I agree. Yeah, she's a B story.
So would you say, like you were talking about in Unbreakable, the do what you were meant to do thing, like that's the through line in Unbreakable is a superhero story.
Yeah.
Is do what you were meant to do. That's what Wyatt's call is.
Yeah.
Be a lawman, do what you were meant to do. But he's resisting that call the whole time.
Yes. Up to 5 or 6 times.
A lot. And that's when so Doc's playing the piano, old dog Trey,
Yeah.
old
Frederick
Camptown
fucking
races.
Foster,
Yeah.
fucking Chopin.
Yeah.
Frederick fucking Chopin.
And
Yeah,
that's
good
when Curly Bill hits
Yeah.
the
Yes.
kills
Even the
guy.
callback to that. You, a music lover.
Music lover.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One for each of you. Oh, my God.
You're seeing double.
Yeah.
So
Two
here's
guns,
a
one for each of you.
Here's a question I had. Just in that next scene, Judge Spicer acquits with no witnesses.
Yes. The laws were so loose. Like, unless you were seen doing it.
But there's a shot of Behan and Josephine on the corner
Right.
as that's happening.
Yeah. What I
Yes,
read
but-
about
go ahead.
that was,
Yeah, go ahead.
first of all, he's corrupt.
Yeah, Behan
So
was.
he's not going to say anything. And they said maybe she was in fear of
Gotcha.
actually testifying against
Yeah.
them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Behan in real life was totally. He was the Cochise County sheriff and totally corrupt politician.
yeah, he says it later. There's going to be a one man in
Yes.
Tombstone.
Behan
Be
was.
glad to know him.
In real life, Behan does say, "No need for you to go down there. I've disarmed them." Okay, at the OK Corral. That's historically accurate. When they go down there, they all have guns and they're shooting in the OK. So it was totally.
Bullshit, yeah.
He was totally partisan and an enemy of the Earps and an ally of the outlaw element of the time. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and later he even deputizes the cowboys.
Yes,
They all have
and that's
badges.
yes.
Yeah, Ringo
That's
has
the
one,
nature of his business.
So that it takes us to where the Earps are playing pool. We're going to build it up, sell it off, live like kings.
Yes, and Virgil is thinking
Okay.
about, it's like someone slapping me in the face. So Virgil is going to be a bump for Wyatt because he, in one of the next scenes, has become sheriff.
Yeah, he has a
Yeah.
big crisis of conscience thing with the cowboys riding through town.
Yeah, it saves a little kid from being trampled.
And then seeing the school mistress with the
Yes,
scar and
yes.
all that. There's got to be some law.
Right.
She was a teacher?
I think so because there was a long line of kids.
she was-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the scar on her face made me think of Unforgiven,
Exactly.
where they would, scar up whores or whatever,
Yeah.
prostitutes. So I didn't know if she was.
I assume that, she was a school marm or something.
Yeah, that's what I just wrote school mistress is the only thing I could think she could be. And then you got Virgil becomes a marshal.
Yes. And that's where basically I have the break into 2 when the Cowboys are coming into town and I think you better swear me in or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Wyatt fights that tremendously.
Yes.
Until that moment, yeah, then he's,
Well, and it's for his brothers. Like he
yeah,
You
leave
know.
it alone. They're threatening our lives, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
They'll never make that stick,
Quick
Right.
question.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott's character.
Yeah.
He was in law enforcement also
Yes.
They all
before?
were, yeah.
Yes.
Prior? Yeah.
Even
Yes. Virgil
Morgan?
Morgan was not, I don't think, right?
No, I don't think so.
I
But
think Virgil was the more.
I think Virgil's
sought
older.
after.
I don't-
Yeah, the more experienced
Yeah.
one.
he
and
was-
he became it says at the end,
Yeah,
despite
and that's
the use
true.
of one arm, he became a lawman again.
yeah,
when he
and
moved,
that is true.
which is crazy. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's again. I'm glad I made notes. Wyatt warns Morgan about killing someone for the first time when he's didn't even make a dent. Did
Yeah,
I?
right.
Yeah.
When he's-
Something you don't want to ever feel.
Yeah. Now, I don't know that the real Wyatt Earp would have ever had those qualms, but he did go out of his way not to
Show
shoot
people.
Yes. Intimidation and
Yeah, and they even show that, I guess, with and obviously I don't know if he really said it, but like when he realizes this is about to go down, he says, "Oh my God," or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
he
"Oh my
realizes-
God," yeah.
he realizes this is not. People are about to die.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I had my break into 2, and then the fun and games is fairly succinct in my opinion. Before we get to stuff like the bad guys close in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any more notes at this time?
No, when you get to the OK Corral, I was going to ask.
Okay. The fun and games, here are what I'm calling the fun and games. After Wyatt becomes sheriff at 1 hour and 8 minutes in a 2-hour movie, the break into two, fun and games, is fairly succinct. Wyatt goes to get his buntline special and strap on his long coat. So it's almost like the superhero getting his special weapon and putting on his cape, right? What historians will call the walking down Allen Street to the OK Corral, the actual gunfight at the OK Corral, and then thereafter some of the after effects with I'm Your Huckleberry or Hucklebearer, depending on which.
What do the subtitles say?
It's been confirmed Huckleberry by Val Kilmer himself.
Okay.
Huckleberry.
Okay, because Hucklebearer was a funeral, the guy that.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, so Huckleberry, gotcha. All right. So that's what I'm calling the fun and games, and it's very quick and succinct, I think.
Yeah, I think on that slow walk to the OK Corral with that house being on fire behind him, it's like,
oh yeah,
their world is now on
fire.
On fire.
That fire was put there intentionally. Yeah.
How the hell did we get in this situation, or how the hell did we get ourselves into this?
Yes,
is what he says.
All right. And so we're at the gunfight. You had
no, when you say the gunfight at the OK Corral, it was not in. It was
adjacent.
Out.
It was
side.
If you go, and you could talk about this, but if you go to the OK Corral, did you want to say?
No, no, it's very.
It is. It literally is 6 feet wide.
Yeah.
And they were in the OK Corral, but it very quickly poured out into the street.
And they have a fence up there now, so you have to go around because they have it fenced off now, right?
I think so, yeah. Yes, but the OK Corral was about a little wider maybe than the length of this table.
That's crazy.
And they were standing there and blazing away at each other with .45 caliber weapons. They say that there were some of the reasons that they say more people weren't killed quicker is because there was so much gunpowder smoke.
Couldn't see.
That they were just blazing away at each other. Now, Wyatt Earp was not shot, not killed, but he is on record. The real Wyatt Earp is on record as saying in any gunfight, speed is fine, but accuracy is everything. And witnesses will say, because they were put on trial, there was a big trial afterwards, and anyway, witness testimony, and this is how Wyatt Earp operated, because he was absolutely. They called him a cold fish, but he was absolutely fearless, would not panic in any situation, right? So he's standing there. Historically, he's standing there. And others are blam, 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 shooting, panic. Blam. Wyatt Earp is sitting there picking his targets.
Right.
Slowly, and every shot is hitting. Bullets are and that's Wyatt Earp. Just in the midst, he says, if you could keep your cool, then you'll win. On record, historically, Wyatt Earp in interviews about this, saying things like that.
Yeah, and I feel like they show that in the movie, emphasize that, because later on, when it's after Ringo's issued his challenge, that he has the whole conversation with Doc about I can't beat him, because that's contrast to what he's saying there.
Yes,
Ringo is a quick draw.
Yes,
like
Ringo
Doc.
will be fast and
he's accurate.
And he's a very deadly pistolier. Yes.
Yeah, Wyatt's not a quick draw.
No, Wyatt.
But if he gets his aim on you, he's going to get you.
In that scene with Curly Bill, do you have any thoughts about that?
About in the water?
Yeah, I don't want to tread on your.
Oh no! I was just gonna say. Well, in reality, it wasn't like in the movie Ambush. It was Wyatt and his men were looking for water for their horses, and they just so happened to come up on where Curly Bill and all his guys were camping. So it wasn't that they were sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for movie purposes.
But it was an exciting scene.
It was very exciting. Now, in real life, it is much more haphazard than even that. So Wyatt Earp, based on his own testimony and witnesses that were with him at the time, his posse, they ride up and they're looking for water. Well, it's Arizona in August or summer or whatever, so it's very hot. So Wyatt Earp had loosened his gun belt. He's riding along on his horse. He loosened his gun belt and let it hang loose on his side because it was so hot and constricted. So they ride up onto the water and find Curly Bill, and now the shooting has started. And so Wyatt Earp goes to dismount. Well, his gun belt is so loose it falls down around his knees and pins his legs together.
Oh, wow.
So now the whole time all this shooting is going, Wyatt Earp is essentially trying to pull up his pants, right? He's trying to pull up this gun belt and get it fastened around. The heel of Wyatt Earp's saddle was blown off. Wyatt Earp's long coat was Swiss cheesed, but he was never hit. So he gets his belt on, and then he goes to work and kills Curly Bill, right? But in real life, bullets are flying, and Wyatt's trying to pull up his pants because his gun belt is falling down.
Wow.
But they couldn't show, I guess,
No,
that.
who
They
wants
have to
to
show him walking through the water and still not getting
Sure.
shot.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that's the other thing about the superhero. Where's Wyatt? Down by the creek, walking on the water.
Yeah.
That's why I sort of
Yeah,
started
and
thinking.
then the two guys, you ever seen anything like that? I never even heard anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So anyway, and that's the other thing about this. You could take a deep dive on the historical. It's all very cool, man. And
That's cool.
anyway,
So we got way too far ahead there.
okay.
Sorry, it's part of my fault.
That's where I think the false victory is. Again, I don't know what false victory means. You'll have to school me. But the OK Corral, I think that's the false victory. Am I off on that?
I don't know because I couldn't label a midpoint.
Yeah, I have that as a midpoint. Yeah, because they defeat, at least temporarily defeat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then bad guys close in after that because then the Cowboys bring it to them and they kill Virgil and they kill Morgan and injure Virgil.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the way I have. So yeah, false defeat. It's false victory. False defeat is you get either the heroes temporarily defeated, or they temporarily defeat the bad guys, or temporarily get everything they think they want.
Yes. Right. That's so I have the midpoint when after Curly Bill has been arrested and it's none of my business anyway, and I said this is not a midpoint, but I could not identify one. But here Wyatt gets everything he thinks he wants: family, money. So regardless, this is a false victory. I think his false victory is getting the money
good.
after, and it's none of my business anyway.
He doesn't want the OK Corral because that's bad guys close in.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But that's early, so it's not a midpoint. But
Yeah, I
his
think
false
they're blurry,
victory is
but
getting everything he thinks he wanted.
Yeah.
And then what happens afterwards, break into two, the Buntline Special, walk down, the gunfight, I'm your Huckleberry, and then very quickly the telescoping of history to bad guys close in, the Virgil is shot, and the cottage is shot up. I have as the bad guys close in.
They attack the women too.
Yeah.
And the
were-
women only survived because of Josephine
Yes.
warning them. Yeah.
And
then-
the real lightning, I had that as a note. Every strike of lightning apparently caught on film
Yes.
was real.
Was real. And yeah, because I remember Cosmato saying in the Laserdisc version, all the lightning was real and all the mustaches are real. Yeah. That is really Arizona at that time. Yeah, Arizona. It's absolutely.
That's cool.
And that's where I had that question of in the subtitles, Claude's wife was shot. And I was like, who the hell is Claude?
It's Mayor Clum. Yeah, they even
Mayor
shot him.
Clum, yes. So they shot the mayor's wife.
And in reality, there were two newspapers: the Epitaph, and there was another newspaper. And one newspaper was sympathetic to cowboys. One was sympathetic to the law and order element, which was Wyatt Earp. So throughout the months after the OK Corral, these newspapers were arguing back and forth in the papers.
Which one did we? Which one is
Epitaph
right,
is the only building that's still there, I think.
right beside? Is near the OK Corral.
Yeah, it's across the street
What's beside?
the courtroom where they were held, where Judge Spicer did his thing. Like that courtroom is on a street behind the OK Corral.
And
Yeah, 'cause
we
even
parked.
during
I
the-
thought we parked in front of the.
I'd have to go back. I can't remember, but I know that they're fairly close or whatever.
Yeah, because even I noticed during the funeral march, when they're burying the guys that died at the OK Corral, the Cowboys are holding signs saying murdered and all this stuff.
That's historically accurate. That when they did the funeral procession for the Clantons, Ike and all them were holding up a sign that said murdered, and I think it said in the papers and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but after the OK Corral, the Cowboys retaliate.
Yeah, so backlash goes in, all was lost, and Morgan dying. And,
Yes, I have the bad guys as Virgil is shot, the cottage is shot up, even the women. All is lost. I have as a false defeat. Morgan is shot and killed. So the false victory is them getting everything they want, the money, they're together as a family, whatever, which is not a midpoint, but I think it's their false victory.
Yeah.
The false defeat is Morgan is shot and killed. And then the dark night of the soul, very quickly, Wyatt's screaming in the street, why him? Why him? And then he's riding out of town telling Curly Bill, just so you know, it's over.
Well, even I like the bit where Josephine comes up back to you're talking about the curse, right? Especially if it's a superhero genre.
Yeah, get away from me.
Don't you see? Get away from me! Yeah, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're welcome for this. I'm going to ruin this for you. But
Uh-oh.
that rain, Kurt Russell in the rain always bugs me because if you look at the rest of the set, there is no water falling anywhere but on Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I would never paid attention, but
Yeah, I see it. You
Well, that's
see
kind of his
see the
curse,
water hitting the
man. He's just
ground.
got the big old rain cloud coming down on him,
Yeah,
man.
sure.
you
Yeah.
know?
I'd never
That
looked
sucks.
close enough to know, but
Yeah, no,
if
I've
you look
never
in the
noticed it
background,
before.
there's
Just look in the
nothing.
background, and you're like, son of a bitch. Yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks. She's standing just outside, dry.
Yeah,
Little black rain cloud.
Now,
funny.
I did notice something when the Earps are riding into town first time. It's a sunrise, the beautiful skies. When they're riding out, it's almost the exact same shot from a distance. You see their silhouette, and it's gray sky and overcast.
Nice.
So they're riding into town with this hope and promise. They're riding out under dark skies of darkness and murder and loss and
Right.
And that's when Curly Bill sends Stillwell and Ike to the train to finish him off.
yes,
Yeah, before that, he has this, what's become, I think, it's a meme now, bye.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
that and then Ringo's, again, being a
like
fucking shithead and
Sure.
his amazing line.
Jesus, John.
Smell that? Smells like somebody died.
Yeah, and just a.
And that's so
I love a good bad guy, and I love Michael Biehn. This is this is probably my favorite Michael
every
Biehn
character
role.
is absolutely cool in this movie.
Yeah.
See, this part is when I have it to the third act.
Yes, I have the break into 3 there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at me, I got one right.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well,
Yeah, because you think they're going to be ambushed and finished off, and then no, he turned the tables on them, and
It's a night and day
and
difference.
this is historically accurate as well.
Really?
Stillwell was
Ride.
killed by Wyatt
I
Earp
read
with a
that
shotgun.
earlier today. Yeah, if he's found by the train tracks, covered in full of bullets.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Okay, so it appears that Wyatt Earp just didn't blast him with a shotgun. There were like 30 bullet holes in this guy. So Wyatt Earp and maybe the posse that was with him or
They
something.
all took turns.
They all took
fucking that
turns,
guy
man.
up.
You know.
Yeah,
Another
nice.
example.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sending
as far as
Virgil-
dialogue and beats or whatever, yeah, tell them I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
Yes.
And Kurt Russell looking crazy as shit.
Yeah,
He's a U.S. Marshal. He now has the biggest badge
yeah, he could
in the territory.
territory over jurisdiction of basically the United States. Yeah. So that's the break into 3, and then you have the whole storming the castle thing. This Vendetta Ride. Historically it's called the. So if you read about Wyatt Earp, they'll call it the Vendetta Ride. And when I first saw this, I wasn't convinced that was accurate. Then I started reading years ago, and Wyatt Earp actually did go on a ride and start whacking people.
And one of his brothers,
Yes,
it did say that one that's not in the movie, but there is one another Earp on that ride.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. On my notes here, I have it as riding and killing.
Yes, and that is essentially, in real life, like yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
even the one guy that's in the opium den or whatever, he's all high, and he instead of it being
Yes.
the pipe, it's the end of the gun.
Yes.
And no qualms about blowing the back
Yeah,
of that
Wyatt
guy's
Earp is
head
not
off.
into. He's not just going to intimidate you now. Because Doc Holliday will say, "Oh, make no mistake, it's not revenge he's looking for.
Right.
It's a reckoning." Yeah, absolutely,
Right.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that brings us to the crossfire at the river, which we've kind of gone through.
Yes, the Vendetta Ride. The team is Wyatt's posse. The storming the castle is the actual ride itself.
So I had a question about that.
Yeah.
His back at the river, and it may be, I guess, kind of obvious, but just he says no, just like no, it didn't. This is not going to end here. No, I'm not going to end here. You know what I mean?
I'm
what
not
do you
certain.
think what do you meant by that? You know?
Yeah,
I like it the way they do it, and it's uncertain what.
Well, I guess Curly Bill was coming out of the trees saying, "No, he's mine. He's mine."
well, they were pinned down, and they're saying, "Do something,
build on both sides, right?
do something
Yeah.
quick, do
And
something
that's-
quick." I kind of think maybe you're right. That, no, this is not how it's going to end.
Yeah, I'm not done.
They're
my
not
shit,
going to.
yeah.
No, I am not.
Cool.
Even like how, even again, Powers Booth and Curly Bill. Oh, look at that! Just
Look at that.
Even he was bewildered.
Oh yeah, no,
by
they're
it,
totally. The theatrics of it probably just thrilled him.
yeah. Right.
The high tower surprise.
What
I
was
have.
Johnny Ringo doing? Was he laid up? Was he drunk? Was he taking a shit? Like, why wasn't he there?
Yeah, I don't know. In real life, he was.
He was with Behan and the other guys because he was riding in that giant posse
Oh, okay.
of about
Oh, yeah,
30
yeah, yeah.
cowboys.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
That would have
I'm glad
gone
I
down
took
completely
notes.
differently, I think, if he'd been there. You know.
So glad I took notes. Fabian arrives in the carriage shot, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
when-
yes,
I know.
just before that,
Bastards
the
killed
storming the
Billy
castle
Zane.
Yeah.
is the ride itself, and the high tower surprise. If you're looking at the structure of the finale,
Yeah.
I have is the river ambush, Doc being sick
Mm-hmm.
and having to be taken, and then Ringo's posse of 30 or more. So they're storming the castle, and there's always a setback or a surprise, and I think it occurs across these events.
That and then the challenge from Ringo. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
Wyatt.
I have that as the dig deep down after the high tower surprise. Facing Ringo,
Yeah.
I can't beat him, can I? No.
Yeah. No. Again, love all the scenes and all the dialogue, but yeah, I really like that scene when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had this conversation about, what's make a man like Ringo do what he does.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Revenge for being born.
Yeah, revenge for what? For being born. Just makes him like what a cool bad guy. Like he's cooler than Curly Bill to me. Like
Oh yeah, he's just the epitome.
Well,
of
Curly
dark.
Bill is. I like watching Curly Bill, but
I
yeah.
like him, but I don't know. I like John Ringo more. He's just so evil. Like nothing. He's got a great
He
big
made his
hole
deal,
through the
man.
center of him. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it sums him up perfectly. The dig deep down, facing real, and then because this is a setback and a sort of a second dark moment. Execution of the new plan, according to the structure, is obviously Doc. Not quite as sick as I made out. Looks
Yeah,
like
even
somebody-
that. What's it like to wear one of those? or
Yes.
whatever? Yeah, like it was planned from that. Yeah,
Yes.
maybe even before that. I don't know. Like I don't know what point he came up with a plan, but for sure at that point he
Oh yes,
wanted that. So
wasn't quite as
there,
sick
now
as I
it's
made
like-
out. Somebody just walked over your grave. There's so many lines.
Yeah,
The last ride of Wyatt Earp and his immortals, which again I think lends itself to this idea of the superhero almost.
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And then
It's
again,
the execution of the new plan.
and then once he says Wyatt Earp and his immortals, it's riding and killing.
Yes.
Again.
Writing and
Yes.
killing part 2.
And then that's when Ike gives up. Like after all that writing and killing and the whole thing, Ike is the last one to wave his thing in
yeah,
the air.
he's surrendered like 3 times.
That's why I was confused. I was like, was Ike the big bad? Like everything stops after Ike has been.
Well, he said, "I see a cowboy, I kill a. If I see a red sash, I
wearing
kill the
it.
man wearing it."
Kill the man wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just cleanup. Like they got rid of Curly Bill, they got rid of Ringo.
Well, they knew Ike wasn't going to.
Yeah, it was just cleanup.
Be anything.
sure.
I
Me could have killed Ike at OK Crowd. Could have killed him, split your head into a canoe. Just
Sure.
he's such a sniveling little piece of shit the whole time.
yes.
Like I think even in the OK Crowd, didn't he tell him, get to fighting or get
Yeah,
out
that's
of here?
historically accurate.
Fight's
yeah.
commencing.
Get to fight or get out. That is a
Oh,
direct
that's cool.
quote from witness testimony of the event. Yes, and
On his knees begging and
and
shit.
he
Yeah,
really
get the
did
hell
run
out of
away.
here,
He
man.
started the fight, ran away, and got his brothers killed. That's the history of it. He ran away and kept running. Like in real life, he ran out of the OK Corral, like over 3 streets and down. I mean, he just was hightailing.
Rumor is he's still running today.
Oh, did they talk about at the end of the movie? He got killed in the
2 years later,
robbery
which
or
is also
something.
historically accurate,
dumbass.
killed. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So the final image. I don't want to skip over anything that you might have left, but just as a way to finalize the structure, the final image. Doc is on his deathbed, boots off with his real friend, not Ed Bailey. I thought that was an interesting contrast. He's talking about Ed Bailey being his friend, but Ed Bailey's not his friend. Wyatt Earp is his friend.
Well, there's some lines before that too about back at the river. I just remember just now, but with Texas Creek, where they're talking about, why are you out here, Doc?
Oh yes,
Wyatt Earp's my friend. Hell, I got lots of friends. I don't.
I don't. Yes,
Yeah,
I almost
me
cry
every
every
time.
time.
Every time, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, and the thing I didn't catch until I started writing notes and having the subtitles on is Doc just tells Wyatt to go out there and live.
Yeah.
I never caught that before for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
There is no normal life, just life.
yeah,
Right.
Go out there and live,
live it for me. Yeah. Just,
And then he hands him the book, My Friend Doc Holliday by Wyatt Earp.
yeah.
Like,
And there's another little thing I like there, like because he's tired of playing. I don't want to play anymore, right?
Yeah.
He wins still. He's not even fucking trying. Like,
Yes.
like Wyatt's doing the thing, and Doc's got so much fucking luck. Even on his deathbed, he still wins it.
Right. That's his fun. Now, the reason he says funny, like Doc
funny.
Holliday never ever thought he would die. Like the reason that Doc Holliday was so brave and fearless, he wanted to be killed. He was suffering from tuberculosis and this kind of thing, and just thought, I don't want to die as an old man or struggling with this. So he would just get into every situation with the idea that, well, if I
I
die,
probably won't
good.
survive this. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't survive this, and it'll be great.
he says
So we know
funny because he's not wearing boots.
Yes. So he looks down, and by some accounts, this is true, that his last words were funny.
Yeah, the last thing I didn't catch, Glenwood Sanitarium, the first scene you see is the priest giving him last rites.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know.
Yes.
it's
Now
near
there
the
are some
end.
reports that that Doc Holliday on his deathbed called in a Catholic, a Presbyterian, and a Lutheran.
All right.
Cover your
Do 'em
bets,
all.
man.
Everyone, yeah, just
All the locals. I'm sure he would have got some Buddhist if he could have.
right. Is what I understand.
That's funny.
Now he is buried in Glenwood, Colorado, but the city, for its own reasons, will not reveal the location of that grave.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess they don't want a lot of people coming there or whatever. But he was buried in Glenwood, Colorado. That's his final image. The Cowboys, their final image, obviously, is all dead, power broken forever.
Mm-hmm.
We win at the beginning. They're completely decimated at the end. Wyatt obviously didn't know what he wanted, thought he knew what he wanted. Now he's with the one he wants. I have made a fortune of a different kind than he imagined, which is love, romance, whatever.
Yeah, he comes to that realization with Doc in the conversation of, I know what I want. That's the damn misery of it.
because he thinks he's going to die.
Yeah.
I finally found out, and now I'm going to die. And then
So-
Doc is going to, at that point, like save him.
So like he's admitted that to Doc, and then later in the sanitarium, Doc tells him, "Go live,
Go
You know what?
live."
I didn't even think about it. I made the comment earlier that we don't necessarily, see when Doc makes a decision to do that, but I would argue maybe it is right there. As soon as Wyatt admits that, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when Doc comes.
He
Like, you
digs
don't see
deep
a shot
down.
of his face or anything, I don't think, but maybe that's when
Yeah,
it
he
comes
digs
up.
deep
a
down
good
and says,
point.
if I'm going to
I'm
die,
gonna
it's
do
not going to
this.
be in
I'll-
this effing
yeah.
bed.
I'm going to make
Help my
sure
friend.
Wyatt lives. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, never caught that.
Yeah, that's...
And then the
Yeah,
last,
because shortly after that, what's it like to wear one of those? Or whatever?
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Oh my! Now, Johnny Ringo in real life was found propped up against a tree with his bullet hole in his head.
Yeah, but they don't know how.
But they don't. No one knows who shot him.
Suicide or,
I think
yeah, that's cool.
suicide.
But he was.
Bullshit. Doc Holliday killed him. Tombstone showed us that.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
he was. Some say he probably did suffer from depression and psychotic.
Yeah, some stuff I read said he was even talking about killing himself.
Sure.
Like
Early
the
Bill
days
was worried
prior.
about what would happen when he was running that.
My God, what's going to happen to this outfit when Johnny runs it? Yeah.
Last thing
Okay.
I didn't catch was where they end up, where Josephine is in Denver.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It says they're doing a show in Denver.
yeah. Why? And it's a Gilbert and Sullivan show.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
I never caught that ever.
I think I see the Pinafores. I think I
Yeah,
see the
HMS
name of it,
Pinafore.
but I never paid much
I
attention.
also liked how he when he finally comes to her and he's like, I don't have any money. I don't, what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he's basically broke. She's like, oh, I'm rich.
rich.
Yeah, it was
Rich,
nice.
don't worry about it. Oh well, shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Room service.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's a good, sweet ending. All right, I do have one final note, which I think is very interesting, but I'll mention that after. Sherry, you got any more historical, anything good to go?
No, but it just made me think of Overboard. And that was the second movie that Kurt Russell hooks up with a lady that,
was
don't
rich?
worry about it. I'm rich.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the one with the
Oh
money.
yeah, that's true.
point.
Yeah, that's true.
No, are you going to talk about his
Day at
funeral?
sea, sir. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's the epitaph or whatever that's called.
You going to talk about his funeral?
Oh, okay. So the final paragraph.
Mix wept.
Tom Mix wept. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is. If you are
He
not
lived a long
aware,
time, too.
we have come full circle in these podcasts now, and I'll tell you why. They're talking about Wyatt Earp's funeral. Wyatt Earp did, in fact, and this always tantalized me because Wyatt Earp did go in the 20s to Hollywood and hang out at movie studios and became good friends with Tom Mix, who was a cowboy actor, and
And that's
always
40
thought-
years after Tombstone.
yes.
Yeah.
Why is there no existing footage
Footage.
of Wyatt Earp? I would love to see live action footage of who he. I've seen old photographs of when he was an old man, when he was young. But I'm like, you're around
there's
movie
no
studios.
footage.
There's got to be some footage of Wyatt Earp somewhere. That would be so amazing.
Right.
Anyway, he was friends with Tom Mix, and Tom Mix was a pallbearer at Wyatt Earp's funeral in 1929. Okay, we have come full circle, and here's how. The story of Wyatt Earp and Tom Mix, okay, becoming friends is told in a movie called Sunset. Bruce Willis plays Tom Mix, and James Garner plays Wyatt Earp. Okay, so you have a Bruce Willis movie about Wyatt Earp and Tom Mix, directed by, drumroll please, Blake Edwards.
Oh,
Nice.
jeez.
So we started off with a movie by Blake Edwards and Bruce Willis, and we end with a reference to an historical event that is recorded in a movie with Bruce Willis
Nice.
and Blake Edwards. And Sunset is actually a decent movie. It's not the slapstick piece of crap that, or the movie that everyone loves, Blind Date. I have Sunset, and it's a decent movie. It's a fun movie to watch. James Garner, who had played Wyatt Earp in series back in the 50s, is there, and it's a good movie.
There was a question I had. Apparently, John Wayne was in his late teens,
Oh, yes,
and
this is
he
Very
got
cool
to
piece.
meet Wyatt Earp, and he modeled his walk
Yes.
after Wyatt Earp. Did Kurt Russell have the same walk in Tombstone? Because I saw some scenes where he was dragging his leg a
I
little
don't
bit.
know.
My mom calls it he walks like he has a load of crap in his pants.
Well, now here's the thing, though. Why John Wayne's name is not John Wayne. It's like John Marin or something. It's
Marion.
Marion. Yeah. So it's not anything like John Wayne, right? But John Wayne was like in his 20s, working as a stagehand when Wyatt Earp was friends with Tom Mix, and Tom Mix was making the movies. And John Wayne and Wyatt Earp did, in fact, become acquaintances. And Wayne is on record as saying that when you see me when you see me in movies, what you are seeing is my imitation of Wyatt Earp. So if you wanted to see how Wyatt Earp walked and talked, essentially it's how John Wayne acted in those Westerns.
Interesting.
He patterned his whole persona off his experiences with Wyatt Earp way back when he was in his 20s, before he was even an actor. So that's, I think, as close as we're going to get to seeing how Wyatt Earp was. But I found that absolutely tantalizing.
You know, that's interesting because even like, just think about like, I guess he's, now you got me seeing circles. Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China, like essentially that's him doing his John Wayne impression.
Yeah, that's true.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, but when I saw that Tom Mix thing, and then I thought, because I wasn't sure Blake Edwards had directed, I thought, I think, yeah, Blake Edwards directed it, and
Nice.
and then you got your, yeah.
Wow.
And I guess,
Jack
yeah, that's
Burton
interesting about Kurt Russell's walk. Now I want to like check out other movies and see if he walks different as Wyatt Earp, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's crazy.
So we do the pass, recommend, consider.
Yes. It's an absolute no-brainer. This movie is probably in my top 5. It is absolutely quotable, and I never, like, we watched it 2 or 3 times in preparation for this, and I never got tired of it a single time.
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies that not only should you see it, you should own it.
Oh,
You should have a hard physical copy.
yeah, and you should work lines into almost every conversation you have, because,
Right.
well, bye. You know, this,
Yeah.
it is so brilliantly and stylistically written. Like every line, like I'm serious, about every 90 seconds, every 15 seconds, I don't know, but it's very close. It can't be over 2 minutes. There's a cool line.
There's one error that I don't know if anybody caught, but if I caught it on my 40-inch little tiny TV, on your bigger TVs you'll be able to see it. Right after Kate and Doc calls Kate the Antichrist, you might
Right.
be the Antichrist.
Yes.
The cowboys arrive into town. There's yellow and orange slickers. Like you can see it. They're wearing orange and yellow plastic.
The Cowboys are?
Yeah.
Well,
That's the only time you see that in the whole movie. There's like 8 or 10 of them, but it's such an odd.
well, there and they may be slickers, but there were long canvas white-ish overcoats that they would wear.
These are yellow and orange.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know,
weird.
but they were coated with some kind of animal fat or oil to make them waterproof. And the reason they were so long is so that you could wear them over your legs, and the burrs and stickers wouldn't get into you as you're riding through the brush on a horse, and that's why they're so long.
You know, I didn't.
But they did tend to turn brownish or tan colored with all the dirt and
More natural colors.
yeah, but certainly not. I'd have to go back and look, but certainly
You know,
not
I didn't-
yellow.
I
and
didn't see it.
Orange.
Next
Yeah.
time you watch, it's that
for it.
scene right after
Yeah.
Doc tells you they're the Antichrist.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's. I'm like, what? They'd had those colors in the back. It must be a goof.
Yeah, no, if it is a goof, I would say that it's either, you know, Comatose did that shot or the other guy, Kevin Jarre.
Either
Surely
way-
Kurt Russell didn't do that shot.
Either way, don't let it deter you from.
I don't think I've ever paid.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
I'll have
it.
to check that out.
But yeah,
Yeah, recommend for me as well.
Yeah,
Yes, highly recommend.
yeah. This movie is so. It's just absolutely
one of the best.
one of the best. All right, I guess we are out.
Bye.
That was
Yeah.
Bye. Very cool. I think there is a cool line about every 12 seconds in this movie.
Soon, babe.
Owner of the birdcage, I'd be like, guys, quit it. He's laughing like an idiot all day.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if 8 hours on this disc would be enough to recording time. That's what I'm saying. The Wyatt Earp was a bully because it was a tool.
Law and Order every time. That's us.
Set decorators are unheralded heroes. You know?
It's been confirmed. Huckleberry by Val Kilmer himself.
Okay.
Huckleberry.
All the lightning was real and all the mustaches are real. Yeah.
Kurt Russell in the rain always bugs me.
Yes.
And Kurt Russell looking crazy as
Wow, never caught that.
Yeah, that's. So now the whole time all this shooting is going, Wyatt Earp is essentially trying to pull up his pants.